Molly Thomas, filling in for Lorna Duick today. Walking into another wedding alone. How do we celebrate single when we're wired for relationships?
Matchmaker, matchmaker, take the day off. To many, single is the new attached. Gone are the days of spinsters and old maids. In North America, where non-married people now outnumber the married, the word single carries a whole new cachet. In fact, the number of adult singles has tripled in a half-century. So in this week of St. Valentine, how do singles fit into the world of chocolates, teddy bears, and eHarmony ads?
Relationship troubles, boils and bubbles.
Today, guest host Molly Thomas and her guests bring a personal perspective to this timely discussion.
The infamous S word. Some embrace it, others hide from it during Valentine's week. So I lined up all my single ladies to talk about the hot topic and how it really makes them feel. Take a look.
I think for a lot of ways, single was a choice. And in that sense, it feels good to be able to have, be able to stand on your own 2 feet and have some independence to find your way. But it's not mutually exclusive with, you know, being in a relationship.
And it's fun. I mean, the interactions that Toronto provides every day to me, it's thrilling. This is a new city for me. I like that part of my life a lot right now.
I think I'm in a place in my life where I need to really grow up and know who I am without actually being tied to someone. I think it's really important to actually look into yourself, know what you're about to do with your life before you actually commit to someone or to anyone.
The title itself, single, though, I mean, as your friends introduce you, as you go out, I mean, does it bother you at all, honestly?
It's pretty normal because most of my friends, I realize that most of the people I hang out with are usually single. So I'm kind of always attached to people. They're not in relationships, so I think I never have that problem of being introduced as a single friend or whatever.
My friends are starting to get married and weddings and baby showers are starting to be a thing, and which is really exciting. So I think the expiration of me being excited about being the single friend is probably impending, and I can sort of feel that.
Let's talk about the sexual factors. I mean, when you're single, it's different. So, you know, how does that affect your life?
Toronto has a really good energy, and I think that it also has a really interesting sexual energy. I think that some cities are sort of sterile, and when I moved here, I remember feeling really energized. I think that there are attractive people that are outdoors, and there's an engagement that you get here that is pretty unique. It's not in every city, so who knows what that will mean in the long run, but for now, it's kind of fun to throw yourself into that engagement, and you meet people at a bar or out and about, and there's lots of attraction in the air for a lot of different people, I think, myself included.
Being single doesn't mean, oh, you know, I'm all by myself in the world. I have 2 roommates, we have a great time, we enjoy sharing a house together. Shad, who's a Canadian rapper, has a great line which says, I used to want to find the love of my life, now I'm trying to live a life of love. It's not just a husband and wife. And I think that's really true, that you know, single does not mean alone. Single, you have so many people in your world as if you keep your heart open, you know, so.
The way I see it, at least, it's like you don't need that one person that you do everything with. I think you just kind of find different people and you just make it work. So yeah.
Have your people.
Have your people, yeah.
You know, the longer that we wait, I guess, as singles, and maybe expend that, do you think that it'll be harder to like actually settle down with someone if you do find them at some point? In my life, the last couple of years as a Christian, you know, it's this interesting learning experience about like protecting my heart and kind of waiting for somebody. Well, how do you guys see that, like in your lives, and do you think that it'll affect that relationship if it comes along?
Well, I may come from a different perspective because I'm not religious. Yeah. So I don't have a religious motivation to be celibate until marriage or something like that. But I do understand protecting your heart, right? You go through relationships and maybe it gets harder to give your heart as you go on. But I think it's really important, and I was reading this article actually, that said, you know, don't desensitize yourself. Be willing to tell people you think they're wonderful. Be willing to put yourself out on the line.
And I don't think that it's a protectionist per se, but as you get older, you sort of organically stop lusting after people that aren't right for you, and it's natural.
Let's talk about Valentine's Day. I mean, what is that like for you ladies that are single?
I think for me, it's Valentine's Day is really good for Hallmark. It's really good for Cadbury. It's really good. No, really, it's really good on a marketing stance, but I don't really think it's necessarily a holiday people should necessarily engage in.
I love Valentine's Day though. I think at this very nascent age, I realized that Valentine's Day was really about being surrounded by friends and people that you love. And so to this day, I think even in relationships, I've traditionally celebrated Valentine's Day with friends.
Really?
I have, yeah, or ordered a peppermint cheesecake, whichever one is easier to do. But I quite love the holiday, and I like that there's love in the air, even if I'm single.
Cheers to the single life. Well, here to take the bait on that conversation, we have 3 single guys. The girls that we just heard from feel pretty good about their situation. Is it the same for single guys?
For me, being single it's not a thing I think about very often. And it's definitely not something I spend tremendous amounts of time on. But for me, it's about flexibility and freedom. And just being able to live life to the fullest.
Some people think, I mean, that single guys are a catch no matter what the age. I mean, does that have truth to it?
I'm not sure how valid that is. What I do think, though, is certainly every year you get older, at least in my own personal experience, I find I get busier, so it becomes that much more difficult to have that sort of meaningful interaction. I also think as a result of that phenomenon, you have things like Tinder being more and more viable because it just solves that problem pretty easily, because you can swipe and find somebody you're interested in a matter of seconds.
Singleness is different in different cultures. You're from Uganda. Give us an idea. I mean, is it different?
I think there's less pressure between the ages of 20 to 25. You can enjoy yourself more, and at most times, you're still staying with your parents. By the time you do reach that age of 28, 30, that's when you get the phone calls or emails from your aunts and uncles. So where is she? At the same time, you also understand they're going to be raising your children, your grandchildren. So you have to decide who do you want to raise? You know, you want to raise the next presidents, governors, captains of industries, right? And that's, for me, that's what I'm looking for.
Noted. All right, thanks guys for contributing. One man not single, but very much a part of this conversation, Sheldon Neal, with how companies are catering to the single market. Sheldon.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, singles, Molly. Singles are one of the fastest growing demographics, and smart companies are catching on. Let's take a look at this. Have you ever heard of Singles Day? That's right, created in China as an anti-Valentine's Day. The internet holiday makes Black Friday and Cyber Monday look so tiny. Last year, in fact, $9 billion was racked up by crazy consumers. Now look at this one. And who says you need to take a vacation with someone you love? Companies like Friendship Traveler, Just You, One Traveler, Solitaire are all making major bucks off the solo traveler. Now look at this one. Why don't you take a walk down the grocery aisle, see how many individual portions are set aside for almost every food group? Now, this last one, and what about human touch? Don't worry, you can snuggle up to that problem with a new professional cuddling service that recently popped up in Montreal. That's right.
Sheldon, before you tied the knot, I gotta know, did you try any of those?
You know, I never did, but I will say that some of my friends were saying, you know what, when you're single, you're fun, and then you get married. I wanna let you know, I'm still having fun, and I'm married. I think it's just a mindset that people have that when they get married, suddenly everything shuts down. You're still the same person. It's just a commitment of love. So I think if you and your wife-to-be make it, or husband, or whatever way, decide that we're gonna keep having fun, keep being ourselves, you'll succeed. Don't let society write the script for you. That's what I would say.
Well said. Well, on top of those ideas, if you type singles events into Google, you will find hundreds of options. Now, to explain what exactly is going on in Toronto, please welcome Laura Bellotta from singleinthecity.ca. Laura, welcome to the music.
I was going to dance.
She's going to dance to the music. Have a seat. So, wow, this market, it's grown, it's changed. You've been in the market for 13 years working on this. How has it grown?
I think almost every person who is single has tried online dating. So many people are taking advantage of all the singles events and social networking events going on out there. Meetup groups have appeared. Yeah. People are finding love through meetup groups. People aren't calling people anymore. They're texting, right? And people aren't getting married like they used to be.
Your company exists to romantically pair people, but there is a community beyond just that.
It's all about mixing in new social circles. That's how you're going to meet somebody. I promote getting out there as much as possible, doing new things, meeting new people, because someone might have a friend that's perfect for you.
I feel like some people would be intimidated, though, a little bit by it. I mean, what can they expect, or should they not expect anything?
Intimidated by singles events?
Just, you know, putting yourself out there.
Well, you know what? You have to think that other people are putting themselves out there, too. And you're not the only person who's in that boat. And people always ask me, what kind of people go speed dating? Or what kind of people go to your events? Because I run singles, like other events as well, like mixers and dances and that sort of thing. Yeah. And my answer is, well, they're people like you and I. That's who goes. Very single, young professionals, professional people go. So primarily that's our market. So you and I.
And it's working. 13 years, still going strong.
Still going strong.
Laura, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Laura Vallada, the founder of singleinthecity.ca. Still to come, freeing ourselves from fear. We hear from a single 45-year-old on that. And bling bling diamond rings. Is this for singles? We'll talk about that next.
To add your voice, call us at 1-800-215-4913. Email us at comments@contextwithlorna.com or reach us by Facebook or Twitter.
Well, I'm hijacking Lorna's books this week because we're giving away a fabulous ring for one lucky single lady out there. It was the first and only diamond ring designed for single women to wear on their pinky. Now, superstars like Kate Hudson and Tyra Banks don the rock, and it's a showstopper, so for your chance to win, you can visit contextwithlornadoit.com and click on Lorna's books. May the sassiest single win.
This segment is brought to you by Bruce Etherington and Associates, Family Harmony and Philanthropy, helping you help others.
But enough about my honeymoon. Why are you still single? You're so great.
Beats me.
You just haven't found the right guy yet.
So are you seeing anyone? Why don't you try Tinder?
Don't you ever get lonely?
You should let me set you up. I know the perfect person.
It'll happen when you least expect it.
You are such a catch.
We've all heard that from friends and family, and our next guest can relate as well. Laura Hartel is a 45-year-old single woman from Calgary. She's also a professional counselor and professor at Providence Theological Seminary. Please welcome to Context, Laura. Nice to have you. So we heard some of the weirdest things people say. I gotta ask you, what's the oddest thing you've heard?
Well, I've heard probably all of those. But it's not necessarily the thing that is said, it's more the face, that face that's like, oh, so sorry. So let's just start by saying single is not equal to defective.
Good way to put it.
Let's just put it that way.
Just put it out there. I guess when you hear all of that, though, is it inevitable that the cloud of waiting for a match hangs over a person?
Well, I think, you know, in our humanity, we're created for relationships, right? I mean, we want to be connected. We do our best. We thrive when we are surrounded with people that encourage us and support us and accept us and love us, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think it necessarily has to be a cloud. I think it becomes a cloud when we focus all of our attention on that one person that's going to show up and love us and see us with all of our brokenness and all of our strengths and say, yeah, you're mine, you're worthy, I love you. That's when it becomes a cloud, I think.
Do you have a spiritual question?
Particularly at my age, thank you so much for pointing out. I am indeed a 45-year-old single woman.
You say it with a smile,
yeah.
So there you go.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
But I think what I'm doing in my life now, in my life practice, is deciding in every moment, am I going to operate in love here in this moment, or if I'm going to operate in fear? I've heard some of your guests, so your girlfriends, talk about protecting their hearts and having a protectionist attitude, right? I mean, if you've lived life a certain period of time and you've engaged in relationships, there can be some hurt there. And so that creates fear, I'd say. So my choice is always, am I going to let fear control me, or am I going to be able to be authentic and vulnerable and operate from a place of love, regardless of the circumstance?
Now, you yourself were once married. Becoming single after divorce or being widowed, I mean, I assume that the challenges are different. I mean, how do you approach that? How do you approach life after that?
Well, I think, when you talk about fear and love, I think all losses really are a place of fertile ground for fear to grow. I think particularly with divorce, there's this perception that if you could have just done one more thing differently, then it wouldn't have ended. And that can create a sense of failure that I think particularly men take quite hard, because identity is sort of built around their performance, their ability to perform. So when that failure comes, I think men step back and go, I don't want to risk hurting somebody else again. And for women, we step back and go, oh, I don't want to risk being hurt again, right? And in both of those equations, fear is operating. And so I think it's a challenge in those things to push forward and to risk and to open your heart and to show who you are again and risk it. Yeah.
Loneliness is real. I mean, a craving for community is natural for anybody. How do you deal with that question about, like, am I not lovable?
Yeah, I think that question is really at the heart of so many of our questions as people. I think that question is at the heart of all of our relational conflict, really, is, am I lovable? Do I matter? And I mean, for me, Jesus answers that question. Because, everything about his words, his actions, his presence tells me I would rather die than have one more second go by where you feel like I'm condemning you or I'm rejecting you or that you're not valued and you're not loved. So that answers that question for me. I am lovable. But I think for anybody else, only God can really answer that question for you in a way that's truly meaningful for you, because he knows you and he sees you and he loves you. And I mean, if you ask him of all the reasons why he loves you, then he will surely tell you. Of that I'm certain, because I've asked him many times in my life to remind me. Yeah.
It's completely altered the way you think of single.
Absolutely. And it's been a struggle for me, particularly over this past year. I've been in a real journey with this issue of singleness. And so for me, it's the only relationship that I truly cannot be without. Because listen, there's lots of opportunities to love. We kind of center our love on one person for a lifetime, that person that we're going to marry and love and be with forever. But there's opportunities to love in singleness as well. There's opportunities all around us to give it and to receive it. Fear stops us from loving, but fear also stops us from having love penetrate and sink in and become part of us when it's offered. And so, this journey with God has been, he is the only relationship that I cannot be without. But in him, I'm so secure, and I'm so secure in his love for me, that I know whatever comes, whatever moment comes, it's going to be good. Regardless, it's going to be good. Because his whole heart for me is nothing but good. So it brings a real calm to me about what my future holds. If somebody comes, if somebody doesn't, when they do, whatever's rolling down the pipe, we got it handled.
We got to talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, Christian teachings are very restrictive on sex. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, I would say this, certainly about sexuality, is I think it would be really good if we stopped thinking about sexuality in terms of purity or sexuality on opposite ends of a spectrum, right? I mean, there's so many of us in our society, that men and women both, who have had our innocence stolen from us early on. And so I think when we talk in those polar opposites of purity or sexuality, then those messages can be internalized, in messages of condemnation, right? Where if I'm pure, then I'm not a sexual being. Or if I'm sexual, then I'm defiled, right? So I do not want to speak any more condemnation into this topic of sexuality, right? Because there's so much shame around it already, right? Plenty enough. But what I would say is that offering yourself to another person in a physically intimate way is really, truly a sacred gift. And it's not just a joining of physical bodies, it's a joining of hearts, it's a joining of spirits. And when you do that with somebody, you get stuck. And if that relationship breaks down, you're just shredded. Bits of you are stuck to them, bits of them are stuck to you. So I want to be very wise, and I encourage all my friends and cohort and students, to be very wise about with whom and when you do that, because it's important how you offer that gift. So that's how I view. That's what I would say about sexuality. We all know the rules. This is what I would add to the conversation.
Laura, thank you so much for being here and for being vulnerable with your story.
Okay, thank you.
Laura Hartel is a professor with the counseling program of Providence Theological Seminary and has a private counseling practice in Calgary.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Well, if diamonds are a girl's best friend, who says you can't buy them for yourself? Now, Ruta Fox is the founder of DivineDiamonds.com and created something just for the single ladies. Now, Ruta joins us on Skype from her home in Greenville, South Carolina.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the A-ring. Tell our viewers about it, Ruta.
The A-ring is the first and only diamond ring created especially for single women. And the A stands for available and H stands for happy. And it's the diamond ring you buy for yourself and you wear it on your pinky.
Well, it's really taken off, Ruta. I mean, Oprah's magazine picked it up among others. What do you think is the appeal?
Well, actually, I feel that if you are single, you should celebrate being single, celebrate being happy, celebrate being joyful and confident, and don't let the media convince you that you're a loser for being single. And I think it really resonated with women, and it really spoke to them that, you know what, I feel great. I'm happy as long as I am single, and why don't I just celebrate it and buy myself something special?
Ruta, I have to ask you, I mean, what is the best thing about being single for you?
The best thing about being single is you can really kind of explore whatever you would like. You can travel, you can devote time to your career, you can date, you can have pets, you can, do actually anything that you want to do, and there's no pressure to really get married anymore. It's a lifestyle, and it's becoming more and more popular, and enjoy it while you are single.
Ruta Fox is the owner of DivineDiamonds.com, and she joined us from her home in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, Ruta has donated a few rings to the show as well, so if you're single and in the audience, it's your lucky day today. How are you guys feeling? All right, sorry guys, this is for the single ladies. We're gonna get all the single ladies to stand on up. Now, we asked all of you guys to write down 3 words which celebrate single in your own lives. So if you hear your words, keep standing, okay? If you don't hear something that you wrote, sit on down. Is that all right? Make sense? Okay, here we go. This is for the ring. Are we ready? Are we okay? All right, diamond ring. First word. Freedom. Who wrote freedom? It's wonderful to be free. Ooh, lots of ladies. Excellent. Okay. Second word, here we go. Money. Having money in the bank. Oh, there's one. Okay. And her third word was food? Food. All right. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Daniela Ruda. Danielle, awesome. Danielle, that is a beautiful diamond ring for you. Put it on your little pinky there. On your right hand, on the right hand, people. All right, congratulations. That's great. All right, Sheldon. No ring for you, sorry.
I know, no ring. My wife already put a ring on it. Oh. All right, so I've got a question and something for you at home, though. It's quite simple. How do you celebrate being single? Email your response to comments@contextwithlorna.com or give us a call at 1-800-215-4913. We love hearing from you.
Coming up, my personal thoughts on flying solo in the 21st century.
I'm Rose Meter. I'm a mom, a wife, and an ER doctor in rural Canada. This year, my husband Rob and I have decided to take our 4 kids on a trip around the world. We have no idea what lies ahead. I'll be updating our journey on the Context with Lorna Dueck website with blog posts and videos about our triumphs and trials and adventures. Won't you join us?
Well, I'm hijacking Lorna's books this week because we're giving away a fabulous ring for one lucky single lady out there. It was the first and only diamond ring designed for single women to wear on their pinky. Now, superstars like Kate Hudson and Tyra Banks don the rock, and it's a showstopper, so for your chance to win, you can visit contextwithlornadueck.com and click on Lorna's books. May the sassiest single win.
Coming soon on Context, I'll sit down with funny man Jim Gaffigan to talk about his new book, Food, A Love Story. Just what is it like to be a dad of 5 kids and how God and funny factors into his family.
The single status, not the option many of us want to click on social media, but I think we need to stop looking at this like a prison sentence and rather see the swinging door of possibilities, an opportunity to invest in friends and family, a time to serve in your community, and let's be honest, a chance to be free and fabulous. Now, during this week of love, do not forget that a relationship is not limited to romantic contact. Now, in my own singleness, I've learned to say yes to God and his many gifts. Marital status does not define that. In fact, the season gives me more time to be one-on-one with him. Can that kind of love be as present as a life partner? Well, God actually promises better than that. He says, I will never leave you. The same God who taught that the freedom of singleness is really a gift. Now, we have more links on this topic on our website. Check it out there. For all of us, though, here at Context, I'm Molly Thomas. Stay classy, singles.
Being single is just having like a free schedule and hanging out with my girlfriends all the time.
For me, I'm single myself, and I'm celebrating it. And in a different way of celebrating it, I treat it as a means to give myself to God more in terms of ministry, in terms of my gifts, in terms of my abilities, and in terms of seeking other healthy relationships with others.
When the professor was speaking, Professor Laura, I was just thinking about how, on the one hand, like I agree in my experience of trusting God and believing that, you know, He takes care of all my needs, He cares about me deeply, loves me deeply, and to love Him and serve others. But at the same time, as I've gotten older, it sometimes is a struggle to trust that God loves me because of what I believe is a good desire, a God-given desire for a long-term committed relationship. But if it's not happening, well, is God really caring for all of me? That type of thing. So it's just something that kind of came to mind that as I've gotten older, that I've had to kind of wrestle with, and at times is more intense and other times not.